you belong here. Next to me, about to jump into the sea on an army co-steering expedition. What's your gut saying? Walk away from the edge? Or jump in and join a team that'll be by your side for life? Still listening? You belong here. Army, recruiting now. Search Army jobs.
Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital? Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411, part 14 of Lucky and Liz, part 20 of Lucky. Last week we ended with Liz has been lying to Lucky about her friendship with Jason, and Helena has put Lucky under a little bit of the Ice Princess spell.
Yes. We ended with handing the vial off of stay hidden until it's time to use this, or whatever cryptic words she used.
Yes. And then we pick up where Kelly arrives home to his room at Kelly's. He opens the
Kelly
window.
Arrives home?
Huh?
You said Kelly arrives home.
Oh, Kelly arrives home. Yeah, sure. Okay.
No Kelly, just Lucky.
No, just Lucky. We did have a Kelly. That was the original OB, right?
We did, yes. But she shouldn't be in Lucky's room. We're going to Kelly.
No, but I was just thinking, like, why don't we have that name? That's a common enough name that we could stop naming everyone John.
True. But yeah, she left.
Could be a guy's name, too.
Back when Robin left.
Yep. So we pick up where Lucky arrives in his room at Kelly's. He opens the window and takes the vial out of his pocket. Just as he's about to throw it, Liz arrives. See, and this is the thing that drives me crazy, though, because he's conscious enough to want to throw it away, but not conscious enough to not stab Jason.
Right.
Okay. Liz and Lucky rehash their lives and his jealousy since his return from the dead. They make up and kiss. Liz, after making love with Lucky, gets out of bed and starts to pick up clothes. And then there's parentheses that says, "Don't we all?" She finds the vial and is about to open it when a panicky Lucky stops her. Lucky stops Liz. When she asks what it is, he has a ready explanation. He then admits to having a feeling something bad is going to happen, and Liz reassures him that they will be together always. See, and this is why he's getting upset, though, because she's telling him all these things.
Right.
Later, while Liz sleeps, Lucky collects his clothes and sneaks out of the room. He visits the brownstone with a made-up excuse that he lost the key to his room and asks Tony if Bobby has an extra one. Tony, who is babysitting...
No. Tony, who is co-parenting.
Not even co-parenting. He was parenting. Tony was being a dad.
He's at Bobby's house. That's why I say co-parenting.
Oh, that's right. They're divorced. Okay.
Yeah.
But still.
I mean, it is parenting, but the fact that he came to her house, I feel like...
Yeah. No, I gotcha. Let's just say that Maxie's there too, and therefore babysitting applies. But even still, that's your niece.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lucky distracts Lucas. Then his hand is seen holding the vial over Lucas's glass of milk. Lucky returns to the room, holds up an empty vial, leading us to surmise that he has drugged Lucas. Elizabeth and Lucky were very affectionate today and couldn't decide what to do. Apparently this is the next day. Over at the brownstone, Bobby returned and happened to feel Lucas's forehead and noticed how warm he was. He complained of a scratchy throat, and she went to the hospital to get him some medicine. While she was gone, he got sicker. Roy felt his forehead and said he was burning up. Lucas was going to get some milk, but collapsed before he got too far. I'm trying to think of where we were with Bobby. Did we get to this with Bobby?
No.
Okay. Lucky and Nikolas ran into each other in the park. Nikolas is looking for Gia. He tells Lucky about how angry Gia is with him, that he accused her of using him and only being with him for his money. Lucky teases him and Nick jokes back, "You're lucky you're family or I would kill you for a comment like that." Lucky goes off on how many people the Cassadines have killed. He is now under Helena's brainwashing and is starting to act very erratically, and this is where Endgame really takes off. Nikolas wants to know, since when does Lucky blame him for what his family has done? Lucky apologizes and blames it on spending too much time with Luke. They revisit the pact that they had made not to let the Spencer and Cassadine war come between them. Nikolas admits that he didn't blame Luke for hating him. He was only protecting his family. He had hated Luke too, blaming him for the death of his father. He knew he had been wrong, and they end in a brotherly hug.
Aww.
Then Gia and Liz run into each other at the park. They try to be nice and have a conversation about Nikolas. Gia tells Liz that she and Nikolas had a fight and it's over. She tells Liz how Nick called her a user and a liar. Liz points out that Nick was the one who saw something in Gia that no one else did, that she makes him happy when he is with her. Liz doesn't understand how Gia can bail on him the first time he makes a mistake after he stood by her time and time again. Gia says Liz doesn't understand and stomps off. Lucky shows up at the ER and is very worried about Lucas. Is he going to die, Lucky? Asks Melissa. No, she assures him. Luke comes in as Lucky puts his head down on the counter. Luke wants to know what's wrong. Nothing, says Lucky. As Tony, Bobby, Roy, Luke, and Lucky gather around Lucas at the hospital, a smiling Helena is seen in the background. Lucas gets some visitors. Lucky and Liz bring a video game. Nurse Bobby tells everyone how stumped she is about her son's illness. It's like the flu, but it's not, she explains. Gia and Nikolas stop by. Gia suggests to Liz that they all get together for Nick's sake, as he needs Liz and Lucky, as he is going through a difficult time separately from his family. Separating from his family?
I would think separating from his family.
Okay. The gang is at an arcade playing video games and hanging out. Nikolas guesses that Gia told Liz and Lucky about his family problems. They discuss Stefan and Helena's reactions, unaware that he has upset Lucky because of the programming. Nikolas tells Lucky and Liz about renouncing his family. Lucky gets weird and says he would rather shoot monsters than talk about them and stomps off to play a game. Wow, that sounds like he's 5. Nikolas and the girls look after him strangely. Suddenly, Lucky sees Helena and his parents' faces as he's playing the video game. This upsets him deeply. It only stops when Liz is near him. This makes him feel safe and prompts him to propose marriage to Liz.
Oh my.
Lucky expresses his feelings to Liz, unaware that Helena observes. Liz tells Lucky she wants time to think about his proposal. Why the rush? Girl, you just told him you're going to be together always. No rush, says Lucky. They always had a plan to be together, and he has always wanted to marry her. Liz finally says yes. Liz visits Audrey at the hospital and tells her of Lucky's proposal. Audrey tells Liz they should not rush into marriage. They are both very young. Meanwhile, Nikolas and Lucky visit a jewelry store to pick out an engagement ring. The sight of so many diamonds sets off a strange reaction to Lucky, who runs from the store saying he must visit Lucas. Lucas is continuing to get worse. They're unable to pinpoint the source of the high fever, and he is in danger of slipping into a coma. Bobby is hysterical. When Lucky arrives in time to overhear Audrey tell Liz that Lucas is not much better. He observes Tony and Bobby with an unresponsive Lucas. Later, he goes to the hospital roof. Liz stops by Lucas's room to join Lucky, but only Nikolas is there. They wonder how Lucky knew Lucas was worse if no one called him and where Lucky could be. They go in search of Lucky. On the roof, Nikolas finds Lucky standing on the edge, about to jump off. Nikolas tries to talk Lucky down, but he doesn't seem to hear. Elizabeth somehow finds the boys on the roof too and manages to talk Lucky down. Lucky doesn't understand why Nikolas is acting crazy. He wasn't going to jump, he explains. He just wanted to see the view. Nikolas is worried. Elizabeth asks Nikolas to leave them alone, so he does. Lucky again insists he wasn't going to jump, and Elizabeth guesses he's overwhelmed about the engagement. She tells him she doesn't even need a diamond. Lucky starts to wax philosophical, talking about how he wants a world with no pain, no suffering, no enemies, and Elizabeth thinks he's acting weird. Nikolas runs into Luke and expresses his concern about Lucky's strange behavior. Luke doesn't want to hear anything that comes out of a Cassadine's mouth and gives him some Spencer attitude. Nikolas shouts that he'll try to save Lucky himself. An eavesdropping Lucky comes out from his hiding spot and demands to know, what makes you think I need saving? He is angry about Nikolas's insinuations. In the back stairwells of General Hospital, Nikolas and Lucky are arguing. Nikolas knows that something is wrong with his brother and just cannot figure out what it is. Lucky has lost all of himself today. He was accusing Nikolas of trying to sabotage his relationship with Elizabeth because of the roof incident. Nikolas is just trying to calm him down, but Lucky keeps getting angrier. Nikolas tries to tell him that his programming is returned and that he needed to see Dr. Collins, but Lucky started calling him names. Then Lucky lunges at Nikolas, and Nikolas screams at Lucky, "What are you doing, man?" At that moment, Stefan popped out of the door and secures Lucky. Nikolas took this opportunity and tried to talk some sense into Lucky, but he does not take heed. Finally, Stefan lets Lucky go, and then Lucky tries to bully him into a fight. "Come on, Stefan, you want some of this?" Nikolas says enough is enough. Lucky, still not in his right self, hit Stefan, and he was trying to call security and have Lucky removed from the building. Stefan and Lucky come to blows. Nikolas finally separated the two, but by the time Lucky was convinced that Nikolas had sold him out and that Nikolas was with Stefan again, Lucky left. Nikolas asked his uncle to tell him what Helena had done to his brother. Stefan, however, became offended by Nikolas's consistent concern for Lucky, and told Nikolas that he would not provide him with any information until he returned to the family and take back his heritage as the head of the Cassadines. Helena finally revealed to Tony why she kidnapped him. She had Stavros frozen in time. This is why I remembered that storyline with Lucas. It was because it was the defrosting of Stavros. That's right. She had Stavros frozen in time for all these years, and Helena needed a surgeon to help bring him back to life. Helena asked Tony to calm down and listen to her because she was offering a fair trade. If Tony woke up her child, then she would give him the antidote to wake up his child. Luke and Laura question Lucky's presence when he arrives on Helena's yacht. He has an answer. He is there to tell Helena off. He refuses to leave when they ask him to, and he expresses anger over Luke's actions. Laura is very surprised to hear he has proposed to Liz. Luke asks Lucky what he knows about Lucas's illness. Lucky denies any knowledge but reacts very angrily when his parents suggest to see Dr. Collins. They finally all leave the yacht. Lucky confronted Helena on the yacht, and while flashing the Ice Princess at him, Helena ordered Lucky to assist her in destroying Luke. Lucky told her that he and Elizabeth were getting married, and the power of their love would keep them from being under her spell. Helena then gave Lucky a diamond heirloom of the Cassadines to give to Elizabeth as her engagement ring. Upon gazing into the ring, Lucky time warped, and again told Helena to leave him out of the Cassadine-Spencer war. Meanwhile, Liz and Nikolas talked in code in front of Gia about Lucky's previous brainwashing. What would you be saying to kind of not...
Lucky's been washing too many dishes again today. What?
Elizabeth, right? Exactly. I mean, we have a code for taking Cody on walks because he knows exactly what you're saying. So, but that's a dog and it's a walk, not a full.
Oh, man.
So Elizabeth denied that anything was wrong with him, and they set out to find Lucky together, leaving Gia behind. After searching the boxcar for Lucky, Nikolas and Elizabeth found photos of Elizabeth plastered all over the walls.
Oh, that's not freaky at all. So Liz finds Lucky at the boxcar. She tells him that both she and Nikolas are worried about him. She also asks if Helena still has some kind of hold over him. Lucky denies it again. He gives Liz believable explanations for all his strange behavior. Then he gives her the ring Helena gave him. At first, Liz declines. It is too expensive, she says. After accepting it, she holds her hand up to the light to admire it. This causes a reaction in Lucky. He quickly steps up next to her, tells her not to do that, and pulls her hand down. Lucky informs Liz he has already told his parents about their engagement. They happily plan a family celebration dinner. At the secret lab, 30 floors under GH, Helena assures a frozen Stavros that soon he will be by her side again. She explains to Tony all he has to do is enter the passwords and follow the directions on the discs. If it's that easy, why didn't she just do it herself?
Because there's medical stuff.
I feel like if it's just follow the directions, just follow the directions. She'll be all good. Anyway.
Listen, some people can't cook and the recipe is right there.
That's true. Okay, maybe it is.
I'm not going to go performing. Okay, here. Something's wrong with you. I Google the directions on how to give you a tracheotomy.
But it's not a Google. It's a exact directions. Like she's sleeping, type in 67894. All right, now she's awake.
No, I think it's the directions on how to wake him up.
All right. Luke works on entering the words Laura gave him. About fifth on the list is Pandora. He has no luck with the first few, but then gets a response with Pandora. Unfortunately, the word it brings up is Greek. He goes to the dictionary and is looking up the word when Lucky enters. They are having a pleasant conversation as Luke tries to inconspicuously close the laptop. When Lucky questions what he's hiding, Luke jokes that it's a love letter to jazz great Ella Fitzgerald. At Lucky's insistence, Luke steps back and lets Lucky see the screen. As he watches, Lucky's eyes glaze over, and Lucky picks up a heavy statuette and smashes it repeatedly on Luke's brand new laptop. As much as Luke loves his son, he is furious with Lucky. Luke asks, "What is wrong with you, Lucky?" He tells his dad that nothing is wrong and that he is the crazy one.
And this is when laptops were like $1,000.
Yeah, and it was like brand new. Like Luke had just bought it for the club.
Yep.
An elated Liz shows Nikolas her lovely, exquisite diamond ring from Lucky. Nikolas knows where this priceless gem came. He asks Liz if she truly thinks that Lucky is all right. Liz says he's just fine. The sparkling diamond must be affecting her judgment, or she is too naive to see what is happening. When a gleeful Liz appears to show Luke the diamond, Luke feigns his approval. He knows, as Nikolas does, where this diamond came. He said, This reminds me of a little princess I once knew." After keeping mum about everything, Liz and a sheepish Lucky leave. Luke throws his damaged computer into the trash can and says to himself, "Helena's got him and got him tight." Stefan shows up at the same time that Lucky and Liz do at the cottage, and Nikolas sends his uncle off and warns Lucky not to start any trouble. Lucky says he doesn't want to start trouble and apologizes for the fight with Stefan. Lucky insists once again that Helena is not controlling him. He blames Lucas's illness for leaving him frustrated. Nikolas is not convinced but drops the topic. They start talking about Liz's engagement ring. Nikolas notes it was not at the jewelry store, but that it looks familiar to him. Lucky insists that cannot be so. The young force them make plans to attend the engagement party when Helena shows up with a gift for Nikolas, a picture of him and his daddy. She tells him he can never renounce the blood in his veins. That's a weird sentence. Could you imagine saying that to one of your kids? Like they're mad at you and you're like, "You cannot renounce the blood in your veins."
I do remind them that I made half of them. I remind them that they're 50% me and that I made them.
Yes. I would tell mine that I made them, but I couldn't imagine wording it like that.
We also don't have diamonds and yachts and...
Hey, maybe I do. I just don't tell you about it, okay? I'm trying not to be flashy.
Excuse me. I feel like I have earned that right to that knowledge.
Anyway. At Kelly's, Xander asks Lucky how important is the prom. Lucky responds, "Prom is very important, very magical night for all girls. Em has already missed many things because of you. She shouldn't miss this too." He and Lucky are making plans when Nikolas and Gia arrive, as Em's prom is that night and she didn't tell him. After Gia makes a few cutting remarks, the guys send her upstairs. At first, Xander complains when Nikolas and Lucky take over the arrangements. He is not a charity case, he says. They tell him to suck it up. They are doing this for Em, not for him. Nikolas arranges a limo. Lucky tosses Xander his keys and tells him that his tux is in his closet and then sets off to get a corsage. The search for a dress is on. Nothing in Emily's extensive collection of dresses is good enough. Suddenly, Gia appears. They both admire her dress. Liz asks Gia to step out in the hall with her. Once there, she twists Gia's arm to get her to offer Em her dress. "You owe her for blackmailing her for when you first came to Port Charles. Plus, think how happy it will make Nikolas not to know you tried to blackmail me too." Back in Em's room, Gia offers her dress. When Em declines, Gia looks at Liz and says, "Can't say I didn't try." "Try harder," says Liz. Em does take the dress and the girls help her with her hair and makeup. The girls finally appear downstairs where their men are waiting for them. Kevin arrives to meet with Luke and expresses his doubts when they are doing the right thing. Luke asks for his options of kidnapping. When none is forthcoming, he unveils his plan. After dinner, he will ask Lucky to step outside so they can talk. There, a waiting Roy will help him knock Lucky unconscious. Then Luke will get him to a safe place where Kevin can treat him. Kevin warns that it could trigger deeper programming. Luke responds, the deeper programming has already been triggered. Now he just wants to stop it before Lucky hurts himself or someone else. When the other two seem to hesitate, Luke tells them that he is going to do it with or without their help, so they agree to help. At the grill, Luke warns Laura to brace herself for seeing Liz's ring, the one Stavros has given to Laura. Helena tells the still frozen Stavros that she is using his ring to control Lucky. She mentions that Lucky has probably already given the ring to Liz. She assures him that they will get it back because once he joins her, they will make sure there are no Spencers left alive to claim it. Liz, Lucky, Nick, and Gia arrive and are greeted by Laura. Stefan closely follows them. Luke approaches him and tells Stefan that if he causes trouble, he really will be sorry he saved Luke's life. Stefan tells Luke he has every right to be there. It's a public place after all. He does, however, move to the bar area. There he uses his phone to call someone. Audrey's arrival signals the start of the celebration. Lucky makes a lovely speech about starting over and putting the past behind them, etc. Liz shows off her ring. While everyone else admires it, Laura avoids looking as she grits her teeth and smiles. Later in the ladies' room, Gia uses a pair of scissors to make alterations to Emily's ghastly dress and does manage to make it end up looking somewhat decent. After Liz asks Gia to hold her ring while she washes her hands, Gia asks the same of Laura when Laura enters the ladies' room. Alone with the ring, Laura drops it on the table as if it will burn her hand. Later on the terrace, Luke tells her that one of her words helped break the code. When he tells her the Greek word which showed up on the screen, Laura tells him that it means awaken. She guesses that it has to do with Helena's programming of Lucky. This causes her to start crying, which prompts Luke to reassure her that they are not going to lose Lucky. Lucky overhears and steps out on the terrace, accusing Luke of upsetting Laura. They cover by saying she was only crying because she realized that he is all grown up and she is losing her little boy. As Liz gives the departing Audrey a hug, the flash of her ring puts Lucky in a trance. Nick calls him several times, but Lucky just stares off into space. Luke and Laura notice this. They also notice that one word from Liz snaps him out of the trance. As the discussion turns into what type of chocolate dessert they should order, Luke persuades Lucky to join him outside for a little talk, and what he describes as the start of a possible new family tradition. They are on the way out when Taggart arrives and stops them. He places Lucky under arrest. When Lucky asks what the charges are, Stefan steps forward and says, for assault against me. Laura said that Scott would go with him as his lawyer, but Luke said that Alexis would be. They asked Lucky and he chose Scott. So much for Luke and Roy's plan to kidnap Lucky. Lucky was taken to the police station and booked. Laura asked Scott about bail, but he said they wouldn't be able to get a judge at this time of night, so Lucky would have to spend the night. Laura was talking to Elizabeth and asked if she had noticed any strange behavior on Lucky, and Elizabeth said no. Laura asked Scott what if Lucky had hit Stefan but didn't remember it. Scott asked what she meant, but she didn't want to say. He went and talked to Lucky, and Lucky said he was actually going after Nikolas, but Stefan intervened. Scott warned him not to admit to anyone about going after Nikolas. Later, Lucky was taken down to a cell right across from Sorrel. Oh no! Lucky's in jail and tells Liz not to worry, it's just a minor setback. Nikolas asks what Scott's take on the case is, and Lucky says everything will work out. Gia mutters that Nikolas is off the hook, and when pressed further, Nikolas explains that Stefan promised to drop the charges if Nikolas takes back the Cassadine name. Lucky tells him not to do that under any circumstances. He is angry. He also tells Nikolas to make sure no harm comes to Liz no matter what happens to him. Liz wants to know what that means. Cops come for Lucky. He needs to fill out paperwork. Laura talks with Lucky alone and mentions that his programming might be back, but go figure, he denies it. Turns out Lucky will be free to go after signing a few papers. Luke rushes in and tells Laura that jail is probably the best place for Lucky and that he shouldn't be released. Luke convinces Laura that Lucky is safer from Helena in jail than on the streets. They need to leave him in jail, at least while Luke works on the discs. Laura warns Luke that if Lucky finds out, he will hate them. Luke is willing to take that risk. After all, he is getting used to it.
However, when Nikolas shows up at Windermere, he has a game plan all his own. Stefan is pleased, thinking Nikolas has returned to the fold, but really, Nikolas shows the Cassadine traits in his blood and blackmails Stefan instead. See, you wanted him to keep the blood. There you go.
Right. He's following all your traits. Blackmail.
Yep. Nikolas warns that unless Stefan drops the charges against Lucky, he himself will testify as a witness and accuse Stefan of going after Lucky. Stefan doesn't believe that Nikolas will be able to lie under oath, but Nikolas insists that he can. Then Gia and Liz show up and claim they would both testify that they saw Stefan attack Lucky also. Nikolas, Liz, and Gia arrive at the police department and give their statements about seeing Stefan attack Lucky. Taggart openly expresses doubt about their version. They, however, say it doesn't matter if he believes, as long as a jury does, if it goes that far. Scott tells an anxious Lucky that his arraignment has been postponed for 2 days. Nikolas wants Alexis to handle Lucky's case, but Scott warns them that if they push it, the judge might not look favorably on Lucky. He reminds them about the trouble they got into last summer with Ted Wilson. Remember that dead body you guys had to handle last year? This
Right,
might not be such a good look for you. Lucky looks to Luke and Laura and asks them to do something. They both say nothing can be done. As Lucky is taken back to his cell, he tells Nikolas to look out for Liz. Luke calls Kevin, updates him, and asks him to treat Lucky ASAP. In his cell, Lucky watches the cleaning woman as she picks up the package Sonny left for Sorrel. As she turns toward him, he realizes it's not just any cleaning woman, it's Helena! How does Helena know how to use a mop? He was initially unreceptive to her appearance until she used her mind control tactics to get him to respond to her. Then she told him they're on to his next assignment and instructed him not to tell anyone she was there. She then remained disguised as the cleaning lady while Luke and Kevin visited Lucky. Lucky lashed out at Luke for bringing Kevin to analyze him. Luke pacified his son by asking him just to try and promise that if Lucky didn't like it, Kevin would leave him alone. Kevin gently hypnotized Lucky, who saw himself in an underground maze-like place where he encountered Helena, who was holding the Ice Princess. Laura told a disbelieving Liz that her engagement ring is in fact the ring that Stavros gave Laura. Liz didn't want to believe it, but she finally accepted the truth when she listened to Nikolas's story about seeing the ring many times when he was growing up. Lucky and Laura exchanged tense words when she visited him in his cell and admitted that she, too, wanted Kevin to evaluate him. Laura reminded him that the last time Helena was controlling Lucky, he wasn't aware of it, so maybe it's happening now, but he wouldn't believe a word his mother said. Everyone managed to convince Liz to slowly persuade Lucky to try Kevin's hypnotherapy again. She agreed. Only Scott was left out, wondering what it is, but he'll soon find out. And there's a fire at the jailhouse.
We just
Laura
have
tells-
fires everywhere.
I know.
We should
Laura-
see more firefighters. For the amount of fires that happen on GH, we should have a whole fire department with some very sexy firemen that we get to see every week.
I agree, but we barely see EMTs.
I know.
So Laura tells Luke. Lucky hides the fluid and matches that Helena gave him under the cot when Liz arrives to visit. She asks him to promise her that he will see Kevin. He questions where the doubts are coming from, then notices her ring is missing. As she pulls it from her pocket, she again asks where he got it. When Lucky is unable to be specific, she asks him if he got it from Helena. As usual, this causes Lucky to rage against Luke. Liz reminds Lucky that they promised that they would do anything to be together. While she wants to be sure that there is no programming, Lucky should go to Kevin for some sessions and prove once and for all that there is not. Lucky agrees, and as he puts the ringer back on Liz's finger, he makes her promise not to take it off. As they talk about past plans for the future, the ring sparkles and sets Lucky off. He tells Liz she should go. No sooner does she leave, passing Sorrel on the way back to his cell, then Lucky pours the fluid on the cot and lights a match. As Sorrel in the cell across the way asks what he is doing, Lucky drops the match and watches the cot go up in fire. Cut to Luke and Laura receiving a call about the fire. Liz arrives back in the cell area of the jailhouse and relives her worst nightmare. She is just in time to hear the guards say one prisoner is unaccounted for, Lucky Spencer. She grabs the bars and frantically searches through the smoke-filled room as she screams Lucky's name. Elizabeth is freaked out about the fire at the PCPD. Luke pushes his way into the cell area but doesn't find Lucky. He comes back out and informs Laura and Liz that Lucky is gone. Luke realizes the fire was set deliberately and he blames Helena. He tells them he's going to source He's going to the source and rushes out. New police captain Dalton. Why wasn't Taggart promoted? Good question. Now we're asking, where is Taggart? Elizabeth finds and accuses her of aiding and abetting the escape of 2 prisoners. It seems Sorrel is gone also. Elizabeth might be charged for providing the materials that started the fire. Nikolas and Gia are there now, having heard about the fire over the radio. I don't think that they would have a police scanner, and I don't think that the fire would be that quickly on the news. Okay, whatever. And they are insistent that such claims are ridiculous. Scott shows up and tries to be lawyerly. But Captain Dalton isn't having any. He can now charge Lucky with more crimes. Taggart shows up back at work and tries to talk Dalton out of pressing charges against Liz. Scott tells Liz she can go for now, and Nikolas and Gia, surprisingly, really try to comfort her and support her. Gia offers to take Liz back to the cottage and she can stay with them. Liz worries about Lucky, wandering around confused, maybe looking for her. So Gia offers that they can take Liz back to her room and stay with her so she won't be alone. Lucky is wandering through the maze, straight to Helena holding the Ice Princess. He asks for his next assignment. Helena decides they are going to play chess first to get reacquainted. She starts with that protect your queen crap, and then adds the order take the king, which apparently means he is supposed to kill Luke. Helena demands that Lucky follow her orders, but he refuses. He stands up and says he won't do it. Lucky flat out refuses to do any more of her bidding. He shouts at Helena that he loves Luke and will not do anything against him. Then he tries to run from her. He is stopped by one of the guards, and once he is subdued, Helena uses the Ice Princess to hypnotize him again. Under the trance, she manages to convince Lucky that they aren't hurting Luke, just helping him to be at peace. Lucky agrees to do as Helena bids.
Not good.
No.
Liz, Nikolas, and Gia arrive and hope that they will find a message from Lucky. When they do not find one, Liz imagines the worst. Maybe Sorrel kidnapped Lucky and is holding him hostage. Nick doesn't buy that. Only Helena would be cruel enough to use a fire again to take Lucky a second time. He has a plan to find Lucky and get him back from Helena. Despite Gia's objections, Nikolas leaves to set his plan in motion without giving details and leaves the girls to await a phone call from either himself or Lucky. After he is gone, Gia admits to Liz that she knows about Lucky's programming. She then confesses to Liz that it spooks her to know Nikolas's family is capable of such things. Liz berates herself for not seeing that something was wrong with Lucky. They ponder what plans Helena has for Lucky. Liz tells Gia that although there is something fundamentally wrong with both Stefan and Helena, Nikolas is not like them. They finally remember that they are women of the 90s and don't have to wait around for men to show up. They come up with a plan of their own to help Nikolas and save Lucky. Gia and Liz manage to sneak into Windermere to look for clues on Lucky's whereabouts. Once inside Stefan's study, they indulge in an exchange of snippy remarks. Gia turns on a lamp. Liz knocks over the fireplace set. They are forced to hide from the housekeeper when she enters the room. After she leaves, they exchange more snippy remarks. They continue searching. When Gia examines the bookshelf, she manages to open the secret doorway to the catacombs. After she steps inside, the door closes behind her. Alone in the study, Liz is caught by Stefan. She lets him know that she wouldn't put it past him to be behind Lucky's disappearance. Nikolas surprises a spooked Gia in the tunnel. He opens the doorway back into the study. Nikolas asks Stefan to prove he really loves him by helping to get Lucky back from Helena. Stefan proves stubborn, but reminds Nick that if he were still the heir, he wouldn't have to ask for help. He goes as far as to tell him his choice is being the prince or being a nobody. Nothing.
Do you belong here? Next to me, about to jump into the sea on an army coast-steering expedition. What's your gut saying? Walk away from the edge? Or jump in and join a team that'll be by your side for life? Still listening? You belong here. Army, recruiting now. Search army jobs.
Nick leaves saying thanks, but no thanks. Before she follows, Gia has a few choice words for Stefan. She tells him that even without the money and power, Nikolas will never be a nobody. Then she blasts Stefan by saying that he is nobody. Liz finds...
It's such a bad comeback. I know you are, but what am I?
Right, exactly. I'm not a nobody. You're a nobody.
Right.
Liz found Lucky at the boxcar staring at the wall full of her pictures. She manages to convince him that he is still under Helena's control. At first, Lucky was totally spaced out and couldn't remember much, but eventually he came to and realized the engagement ring was from Helena. Liz called Laura, who was with Luke at the club, and told her Lucky was safe. Later, the young couple went to see Lucky's parents. They had a touching reunion where Lucky admitted he was still under Helena's spell and asked his parents for help in escaping Helena's control. They all vowed to work together to get him out of Helena's clutches. Everyone rejoices that Lucky is back in the Spencer fold and seems to realize that he's been programmed. While Laura and Liz talk about what it means to be a Spencer woman dealing with the Cassadine vendetta, Kevin shows up and tries to work his deprogramming magic on Lucky. He's not getting many answers when Luke sneaks into the session and tries to get his own answers. Luke asks Lucky what happened with Lucas. No answers. Luke asks Lucky about the engagement ring and blurts out Stavros. Stavros, who is getting out of his ice coffin. Liz and Laura wait nervously outside the office, and Liz asks Laura to teach her how to fight the Cassadines. Laura explains to her that she's been fighting the Cassadines since she met Lucky between the fire, Lucky's supposed death, the lost year, and the programming. Liz explains it's all from a distance, though. Liz asks her how she survived living with them. Laura tells her after she was told Luke was dead, she gave up all hope and did whatever Stavros asked to make her life livable, which meant marrying him and having his baby. She tells Liz that if it was not for the blessing of Nikolas, she would have gone insane. Then, thanks God, Stavros is dead. Luke asks Lucky what he meant by Stavros. Lucky tells them it's all about Stavros. Luke asks Lucky if it's because he killed Stavros, and Lucky tells him Helena says it's everything is because of Luke. Luke asks him if he means everything Helena has planned, and Lucky starts saying what Helena wants but stops. Luke urges him on, but Kevin tells him to take it easy on Lucky. Luke tells Kevin he is getting the feeling of being lost in the maze again, and only Lucky can tell him what it means. Laura assures Liz everything is going to be fine and tells her to start thinking about the wedding and honeymoon. She asks about the style of dress she wants, and Liz tells her she hasn't thought about it. She starts jabbering about where the honeymoon may be, and Laura has a flashback of hiding in a room and Stavros pounding on the door. He manages to kick it open and tells Laura she can never hide from him. Flashback is over, and Liz asks Laura if she's okay. Laura assures her that she's fine. Kevin tells Lucky the ring Helena gave him is the one Stavros gave his mother and asks why she would give it to him. Lucky doesn't answer. Kevin asks Lucky how Helena wanted him to hurt his father. Lucky tells him the ring is bright and makes him do things. Luke asks what kinds of things, and Lucky starts tensing up and tells them the ring is too bright. Kevin asks if he means the diamond, and Lucky tells him yes. Kevin asks if it would be okay to change something, and Lucky says yes. Kevin hides the diamond, and Lucky relaxes again. He tells them Helena is gone, and he sees Elizabeth again, and it feels good. Kevin brings the diamond out again, and Lucky starts panicking and yelling for Elizabeth. She and Laura rush into the room. Even after Kevin hides the diamond, Lucky doesn't calm down for a while. Liz holds Lucky and tells him she is there for him. Kevin gives Luke the ring. Kevin brings Lucky out of the trance and asks if he remembers anything. Lucky tells them only wanting Liz. Luke and Laura leave them alone, and Lucky asks if he said something about Helena. When told yes, Lucky tells him and Liz that he probably knew he was programmed all along, he just didn't want to believe it. Kevin explains that while he was away that year, Helena must have brought someone in with very good skills. One of the methods of trance is trance inducing. He tells Lucky whenever he sees the diamond, his attitude always changes to anger, and he does whatever Helena wants him to do. He tells Lucky all he will remember is somebody attacking him or nothing at all. Liz asks if she can cure him, and Kevin thinks he can. He won't know how long it will take till several sessions. Liz asks what to do in the meantime, and he tells them around Helena. I'm assuming he means to stay away from Helena and to get rid of the ring, or to watch Lucky around Helena.
Avoid Helena. Avoid Helena.
Avoid Helena and get rid of the ring. And then Stavros comes to the door of Luke's club and watches Laura. She feels a gaze, but lets it go. She walks into the office. Luke is yelling at Scotty that he better have earned his money because his son is not going to jail. Laura takes the phone, and when she hangs up, she tells them Lucky doesn't have to go back to jail because the charges were dropped. They all let out a breath of relief. Luke brings the subject of where Lucky will stay. Lucky thinks he'll be fine on his own, but both parents insist he stays with them. Kevin says Luke and Lucky shouldn't be left together because of the programming, and Lucky doesn't want to hurt him more, or Luke either. Helena shows up and has her guards take Stavros away. Luke goes to check out the racket. Luke sees the chair knocked down but doesn't say anything when Laura, Liz, and Lucky come to see what's up. Lucky says he will be fine and can stay at Nikolas's place. They tell Lucky all the stuff he's done he really didn't do. It was all Helena. They need him to know that and to understand. They let him go and stay with Nikolas, but tell him to keep contact, call, and watch their back.
After Lucky and Liz arrive, they tell Nick and Gina they have come up with a way to keep Lucky safe from Helena, but they need help to accomplish it. They want to move in with them immediately. Oh, Lucky and Liz. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gia protests that the cottage is too small for all four of them, but is put on the spot when Nikolas agrees to help them, as long as Gia agrees also. I mean, I understand it being too small, but your friend murdering someone or staying on your couch. Amanda, if you need to sleep on my couch to not murder someone, you are welcome to.
I wouldn't want to take up any of your bathroom time. I'll stay over here and just hope I don't murder anyone. It's okay.
Right? Later, Gia confesses to Nick that she's afraid Helena may order Lucky to hurt her since Helena doesn't like her. Way to make it about you, Gia.
Right?
She is also not looking forward to sharing a bathroom with Liz. And why does Liz
I just said I wouldn't want to compromise your
I know.
bathroom time. And that's what she says next.
Yep. And why does Liz have to move in with Lucky? Liz overhears and blasts Gia for being selfish. Look at us. It's like we've watched this show for so long. We know what's coming next. Lucky overhears Liz yelling and tells Gia that he is afraid, but he completely trusts and feels safe around Liz, Nick, and even Gia. They join hands and make a Four Musketeers vow, all for one and one for all. That's the thing, though. There were four Musketeers.
It was Emily, not Gia.
No. I mean, like in the Three Musketeers story, there's four.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were referring to them saying they're the Four Musketeers. They've said that before, but they said that about Emily and Nikolas and the two of them.
Right. Sorry. That's just, yeah.
Yeah.
As Liz unpacks, Gia questions how long they will be there and why they couldn't go to Lucky's family. Because he wants to murder his dad, Gia. Why do they always have to go to Nikolas for help? Later, Liz asks Nikolas if he is sure he wants to help. They reassure each other that they will both be there for Lucky if he needs them and hug. Gia sees the hug and feels jealous. Later, she pumps Lucky for info on his bout with the mind control, specifically the Nick-Liz thing being together thing. Lucky assures Nick is over Liz and totally into Gia now. Liz suddenly remembers it's Emily's graduation night and she promised to be there. Weren't they just at prom?
Yeah.
Like yesterday?
Yeah.
When Nikolas suggests he and Liz attend the ceremony, Gia stayed behind with Lucky. Gia suggests they all go. Liz starts the water in the shower, but has to go get a new bar of soap. While she's gone, Nikolas enters both the bathroom and the shower. Liz returns with a new bar of soap and steps in from the other side just as Nikolas is washing his face. They're both shocked to see each other, but not as shocked as Gia is when she opens the curtain and sees them together in the shower naked.
Well, obviously.
I know. Nikolas and... Oh, see, now this is the funny thing is... have you ever seen the TV show Arrested Development?
No.
Okay. It doesn't give anything away. It's like one of the things is there's this character, Tobias, and he's a never nude. So he will wear like jean shorts in the shower. That's Amber Tamblin's husband.
Oh, okay.
So they're getting ready for Amber Tamblin's graduation. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just connected a lot of dots there very quickly that have, whoo, okay. Nick and Elizabeth find themselves sharing a shower. Gia is a little upset. Nikki's a little Lucky's a little upset too at first, but then he recognizes this is a simple mistake. Gia screams at Nikolas, "She saw you naked!" To which Elizabeth interjects, "Oh, come on, it's not like I saw much." I don't think she meant it that way, but that's how I took it. What every guy wants to hear. The couples make up, but Gia wants Elizabeth to pay. She tells her she is going to find Lucky, take off her dress, and then they'll be even. Elizabeth doesn't really like that idea, though. Gia settles for turning the water to cold when Elizabeth is out of the bathroom, leaving her to jump into a cold shower. Gia warns Nick that any hoochie mama who comes after him will pay. I have not heard that word in so long.
That's the 90s.
Yep. Nikolas is touched, even though the princely one doesn't know really what a hoochie mama is. And then there's a music montage as they leave for Emily's graduation party. The party never happens, though, on screen. They only refer to it.
Aww.
And then we are at the 8th annual nurses ball, and it was held on the heliport of the hospital. Because of the bus accident, all the nurses and doctors are called to the ER. Luke stepped in to help Felicia do a rock and roll number. He accidentally pulled her skirt off, which left her bedecked in pantaloons. Gia and Nikolas and Lucky thrilled the audience with a song and dance number of their own. However, their celebration backstage was cut short by Helena. Hold on one second. Is this when they sang up on the roof?
I don't know.
I think it was. So, well, actually, that would make sense, too, because they're up on the roof on the helipad.
Right.
It is. Okay. Erica only knows, or when she thinks of Nikolas, this is the Nikolas she thinks of, because she didn't know Tyler Christopher Nikolas. This is Colton Scott.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, she knows that, I think she knows that he wasn't the original one. And she knows now.
Yeah.
But I think at the time she didn't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's something, but she specifically talks about the up on the roof moment because she said something about him singing, and I was like, Nikolas doesn't sing. But yeah.
She was right. He did.
She was about that. Right. But it was in general. But I mean, now Marcus Coloma sang too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they had a song and dance number of their own. It was up on the roof. However, their celebration backstage was cut short by Helena. Nikolas urged Gia to take Lucky out of the room before harm came to him. Luke threatened Helena with breaking her neck if she doesn't tell him what she is up to. They are interrupted by the arrival of Lucky. Helena tells Lucky to tell Luke to leave her alone. Lucky tells her that it's over, and she doesn't control him anymore. After Helena leaves, Lucky apologizes to Luke for the many times he didn't listen to him, and gives thanks that it's finally over. Luke tells him not to be stupid, it's not over yet, and Helena was just acting to cover something else up. Nikolas and Gia arrive. Lucky gives them the scoop on his showdown with Psycho Granny and claims it's over. Gia expresses relief and wants to know if this means he and Liz will be moving. Nikolas is also doubtful that it was so easy. They move on to happier subjects when Lucky asks Nick to be the best man at his wedding. Aww. Lucky seems to be himself as he snaps away during a photo shoot of Gia on the docks. After the shoot, Nikolas is knocked unconscious by one of Helena's goons, and Lucky is furious. Then Helena pulls out the Ice Princess and he turns into a zombie. Helena tells Lucky it's important that no one realizes they are still friends. Nikolas awakens momentarily and in his haze hears Helena's orders. After she leaves, Lucky denies that she was there. Nikolas knows what's going on, though, and he goes off to find Luke. In Emily's room, Elizabeth visits, bringing some gifts, and asks Emily if she will be her maid of honor. Emily, of course, accepts, and the wedding will be at the end of the summer. Stavros hangs around long enough to overhear Gia accosting the grill manager, trying to get him to let Lucky and Liz have their wedding reception there, even though it's short notice. She tries dropping names, says that she's extremely close to Prince Nikolas. The manager is not impressed. Gia goes over to join Nikolas, Lucky, and Liz, while Stavros imagines a reunion where his son, Nikolas, claims he will do whatever it takes just to be just like him. Nikolas finds Luke in the hospital basement and tells him Helena has control over Lucky. I mean, that's obviously where you go looking for someone, is in the basement of the hospital. Time. Just like the basement of the Alamo. There's an entire generation that has no idea what that means.
That's very sad.
Luke is not surprised and can't resist rubbing in the fact that Nikolas's protection of his brother is pathetic. Nikolas offers to return to the Cassadine fold, but work as a spy for the Spencers. Luke is skeptical that the clan will welcome the young prince back. They have to realize that there is someone else I despise more than them, Nikolas says. And that would be me, Luke says, smiling.
Do you belong here? Next to me, about to jump into the sea on an army coast-steering expedition. What's your gut saying? Walk away from the edge? Or jump in and join a team that'll be by your side for life? Still listening? You belong here. Army, recruiting now. Search army jobs.
Newsflash, Nikolas exclaims. But Luke insists Nikolas is too green to pull off a major deception. Nikolas says he'll pretend he can't live without the money. Luke still says Nikolas will fail. They end up shouting at each other, and Nikolas storms out past Helena. Luke runs out and appears later at the grill, where Nikolas is with Gia, Lucky, and Liz. He punches Nikolas in front of Helena, who's followed him, and the lurking Stavros. Stavros watches with murder in his eyes. Luke boldly picks Nikolas up off the floor and rages at him, while Lucky, Gia, and Liz watch. Fortunately, Helena is just behind Luke, so Nikolas plays along as they trade insults. Luke accuses Nikolas of pretending to leave the family and working with Helena to get to Lucky. When Lucky tries to interfere and remind Luke that Nikolas is part of the family, Nikolas yells that he will never be part of the Spencer family because Luke will never let it happen. Kevin breaks up the fight and Lucky escorts Luke outside. Gia calls the PCPD and asks to speak to her brother. Liz overhears and tells her she better not report the incident. Taggart's involvement will not help Lucky, therefore Nikolas will not be happy about it. Outside on the terrace, Lucky yells at Luke that his paranoia is going to drive him away. Luke vows to defend his son, even if it does drive him away. Lucky leaves, but Liz pleads with Luke to think about what he's doing. Unseen, Stavros eavesdrops on the conversation.
And then Lucky rages to Kevin that Liz and Luke's obsession is getting worse. Both tell him that no matter what it may seem like, Luke does love him. He's only trying to protect him. At Kevin's urging, Lucky agrees to continue the therapy sessions. Lucky remembers the happy times when the Spencer family was on the run. He tells Liz that his favorite time was when they ran the Triple L Diner in Vancouver. Liz assures Lucky that they will get through this as long as they are together. Nikolas sits outside the cottage listening to a strange-sounding bird call. From the door, Gia asks if he's coming in, but he tells her to go ahead, he'll be in shortly. No sooner does she go in than the strange bird call comes from a nearby tree. It is Luke. They reveal that it was all an act. They are actually working together and seem to be on rather friendly terms. Luke congratulates him on a great acting job and asks Nikolas to keep him informed on his dealings with Helena. After receiving a phone call, Luke rushes off. Liz shows up at the Spencers and tells Laura how Luke punched Nikolas at the grill. She tells Laura about the evening. Liz doesn't understand why Luke would deliberately turn everyone against him by publicly attacking Nikolas and to do so in front of Lucky, which I'm hoping that Laura knew exactly what was going on because
Right.
Not that dumb. Gia and Lucky discuss the particulars of a photo shoot for deception. Nikolas walks in and finds the pair close together on the sofa laughing. He demands that Lucky get his hands off his girlfriend. When Lucky tries to explain that he fell off a chair and onto Gia while describing a photo angle, Nikolas tells him to stuff it. He knows when a guy is making a pass at a girl. Liz arrives and is the voice of reason. She knows living together is hard, but they can find a new place if it's getting too difficult. Good, says Nikolas. I want you gone tonight. Unbeknownst to all, Helena's eavesdropping from outside the front door. Later, Lucky tries to thank Nikolas for his help, but Nick rebuffs him with harsh words. Lucky ends up saying that maybe Luke was right about Nikolas all along. They pack up their bags and leave, but Liz tells Nikolas that if anything, meaning Helena, happens to Lucky, she will never forgive him. Helena put Lucky in a trance and took him to the underground hideaway. Stavros couldn't help but toy with Luke's son, threatening to kill him. However, whenever Stavros became too aggressive towards Helena, Lucky overpowered him. Helena explained to Stavros that Lucky was programmed to protect her against anything and anyone. Stavros mused over using Lucky to cause trouble, but Helena reminded him that they needed to stick to the plan. The plan was to use Lucky to destroy Luke and to bring Nikolas back into the family. Laura expressed her fear over Nikolas's plan to infiltrate the Cassidines. Nikolas promised to be careful and told his mother that he wouldn't just stand by and let Lucky get hurt again. Overcome with emotion, Laura reached out and hugged her son. The aftermath of the bombing of the Harborview penthouse was the focus of the episode. News reports were being read over the radio. Liz and Lucky went to their room at Kelly's, and they left to check on Xander and Alexis. Lucky, Elizabeth, Nikolas, and Gia arrived at the towers. Lucky and Nikolas glared at each other. Lucky just wanted to be there for Nikolas, as he knew Nikolas would be worried about his cousin Alexis. Nikolas blew him off, and Elizabeth insisted that Gia and Lucky go check on Taggart. Elizabeth then confronted Nikolas about his bizarre behavior. Nikolas was torn, but didn't reveal the secret of his and Luke's working together. Elizabeth asked Nikolas to forgive Lucky, but Nikolas wouldn't hear of it. At the hospital, Gia tried to get him and Lucky to make amends, but they just argued some more, and Lucky stormed off angrily. Elizabeth tells Lucky he shouldn't be too angry with Nikolas, but Lucky asks why she is taking his side and defending him. Stavros shows up and helps Elizabeth pick up something she's dropped. Lucky freaks out and tells him to get lost. Stavros apologizes, remarks that Lucky looks familiar. Maybe I know your parents, Stavros muses, and leaves. Elizabeth doesn't understand Lucky's reaction because the guy seemed nice enough. Who goes out walking the docks? Lucky wonders. We do, reminds Elizabeth. She gets a bright idea and suggests they elope. Lucky decides that's not a good idea. Gia has some sort of press conference and introduces herself looking all new, though she looks the same. Liz realizes that Nikolas dumped her, and that's why Gia is acting sort of manic. Lucky and Liz try to break up the press conference, especially when all the reporters ask about Nikolas. Finally, Gia explains things are over between the prince and herself. She runs out of the room crying. Lucky comforts her, telling her that sometimes you love people who don't deserve to be loved. Liz shows up at the cottage and Alexis leaves. Liz is ecstatic and thanks Nikolas so much for breaking up with Gia in order to save Lucky. Gia finds Nikolas comforting Elizabeth in his arms. Gia cries, rants, and accuses them of having an affair. Liz tries to explain and then rushes to explain the awkward situation to a puzzled Lucky. A hurt Gia beats her to it. Gia says that Nikolas got Lucky out of the house so he could spend time alone with Liz. Gia declares that she came to give Nikolas back his diamonds. Instead, she places them in a stunned Elizabeth's hand since she figures he really wanted to give them to Elizabeth. Liz is looking completely stunned and speechless, pained at not being able to tell Gia the truth to ease her hurt and betrayal. After Gia storms off to find Lucky, Liz is desperate to get to Lucky to explain before Gia gets to him first. Nikolas tells her that she can't tell Lucky. Liz says she has to tell him as she won't lose his trust again, and she has worked too hard to regain it after the whole Jason thing. Nikolas warns her that anything she tells Lucky could be repeated to Helena when he is under her control. Like, duh, come on, Liz.
Right?
Nikolas tells Lucky and Gia that he's been interested in Elizabeth all along. Nikolas says the truth is that I have stepped aside too often for you, Lucky. I have always loved Elizabeth. Nikolas has gone to the extreme to disentangle himself from Gia, Lucky, Alexis, and Stefan to gain favor with his grandmother. Only Liz knows what is occurring with Nikolas, yet all who care for Nikolas agree that he has changed due to his wicked grandmother's influence. He has blown everyone away. Elizabeth, angry that he's not telling the truth, says the two of them will never happen. Gia, ready to believe the worst of the prince, blasts Elizabeth for stringing two guys along, then leaves with Lucky. Nikolas and Elizabeth catch up with Lucky, who tells Elizabeth to be with Nikolas and that she might be safe. He says it's too late for him, that nothing can save him. Later, Lucky shows up on the hospital roof and steps onto the ledge. Nikolas and Elizabeth, who are following Lucky, arrive a few minutes later and discover a picture of Luke on the docks laying on the floor of the roof. Okay. As Stavros and Helena chortle with glee over Luke's shock as he sees Stavros for the first time, Luke composes himself and declares that the man before him is a two-bit actor. Then Stavros describes in detail the events in the bedroom the night Luke killed him, even repeating his dying words. A horrified Luke realizes his archenemy is truly back from the dead, and he deduces that the mysterious discs held instructions on how to thaw out loin of Stavros. Stavros tells Luke that Nikolas was Laura's pride and joy. Luke says Laura never loved him, and so on until Stavros pushes Luke too far. Luke grabs him and puts a knife that had gotten off the guard he knocked out to his throat. Checkmate, he tells Helena. Give him Lucky or her medical experiment dies again. Oh, that was a good one. Good job, Luke. I liked when he used those words. Then Lucky shows up, creating enough of a distraction for Stavros to pull free and Helena's goons to restrain Luke. Helena hands Lucky a syringe full of toxins and tells him to take the king to protect the queen. Luke watches helplessly. Helena was convincing Lucky to stick Luke. Luke started getting to him to realize what was going on by talking about their family, the Triple L, and Elizabeth, which really got his attention. He turned on Stavros, but not for too long. Helena pulled the rock out and shined it in his face. Lucky did not want to do it, and Luke almost stopped him when he pulled his hand loose. They were both crying, but nothing could be done. Lucky said sorry and stuck Luke, who went into a seizure type of thing, falling to the ground, and before passing out, he told Lucky it wasn't his fault. Lucky was holding Luke's head in his hands and apologizing like crazy. Lucky thinks that he killed his father. Helena told Luke she would miss him and had her guards take him away. Helena puts a hand on Lucky's shoulder and said, Sorry you had to go through all this. Stavros went to celebrate, and Helena left Lucky alone in the room crying on the floor. It was the most heartbreaking scene. And then Curly Q put in the notes, this would be the... Wait. Oh, she must have wrote this.
It's one of the ones that he submitted for an Emmy.
For an Emmy. Okay. But she must have wrote it forever ago because she put just heard he received a nomination. So yeah. Wow, she was on her stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then Luke's body is dumped and whiskey is poured all over him. And then Elizabeth and Nick went to the boxcar to see if Luke was there, but he wasn't. Elizabeth said she was mad at Nikolas since the whole I love you, Liz thing he pulled on Lucky, but she apologized and said Lucky told her she was his safety net, and if he gives up on her, he gives up on himself. She calms down and tries to contact him, making him come to her. She feels like he heard her and was with her, but Nikolas takes her to Kelly's. And then Helena and Nikolas toast his return to the family. Liz arrives and almost blows Nikolas's pretense, but they manage to cover and appear to convince Helena. After Liz leaves, Nikolas asks Helena about the mind control. She wonders why he's so interested in it. He covers by asking if she can make Liz love him. Liz is looking for Luke, but no one has seen him. Okay, and then Lucky is drowning his unremembered sorrows at the bar. In the dining room, Stavros and Gia are having dinner, and Stavros is going by the name Lucian. Gia is crying on Lucian's shoulder about how Nikolas dumped her for Liz. On his way out, Lucky notices them and approaches. He tries to get Gia to leave with him. When Lucian makes a comment about someone calling Lucky's father, Lucky takes exception and starts to push Lucian around. This gets Lucky thrown out of the restaurant. Gia apologizes for Lucky's behavior, but Lucian assures there is no need and hugs her. I don't remember how they said, how Gia met Lucian, like what part of the family.
Yeah.
But okay. And then Elizabeth confronts Helena about where is Lucky. Liz almost implies that if Helena had done something to Lucky, she would kill her. Helena grabs Elizabeth by the arm and tries to scare her. While this is going on, Felicia went to Luke's apartment and found Lucky looking at old pictures of him with his mom and dad. She questioned him about Luke. At first, he seems really zoned out and told her he didn't know anything. He referred to Luke in the past. Felicia caught on to that and starts to talk with him about Helena. Then Lucky suddenly says, "Take the king to protect the queen." Felicia went to find Helena, who was still with Elizabeth. She told Elizabeth where Lucky was and to go there as fast as she can. When she got to Lucky, he was in a weird mood. She tried to bring him back with love, but it did not quite work this time. He turned his back on her and dumped her cold. Lucky tries to convince Liz that she is better off away from him. Liz tries to convince him that they are better off together, as their love will protect them and keep them safe. In the following discussion, it becomes apparent that Lucky knows that he did something to Luke, but he doesn't remember the specifics. In the end, Lucky wins the battle when he says he would rather kill himself than unwillingly hurt her. A heartbroken Liz leaves. Lucky is stunned and thrilled to see his father alive. "I thought you were dead," he says. "Sorry, better luck next time," the surly Luke replies, while the inner Luke pleads with the drugged Luke to stop acting like a jerk and help his son. The outer Luke acts drunk and tries to make Lucky leave. Lucky starts to remember the underground lab and that he did something to hurt his father there. Drunk Luke says he doesn't know anyone named Helena. Lucky begs for his help. Suddenly, the real Luke surfaces and he hugs Lucky, promising that everything will be all right. But then he staggers and falls down just as some goons burst into the room and take Lucky away. Lucky is tied to a chair in an ornate foyer. He yells, "What does Helena want with me now?" Then someone comes in and we see Lucky's eyes widen as he exclaims, "You!" Elizabeth had kidnapped Lucky with Sonny's help. He is now locked in the safe house. Liz comes in and gets upset, and Lucky is tied up and demands that they untie him immediately. Good job, Liz. Like, good thinking.
Yeah, that Helena, always keeping us on our toes.
She did.
I wonder what happens next. Actually, it gets not that it's not all interesting, but it continues to get interesting.
Yeah.
It's always, whatever.
More twists and turns.
Yes, there we go. So I guess join us on Monday as we recap this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.